I'm Vince Duvall.
And I'm Brad, as usual, last name Brewer. And of course, we're both with the Eagle Homes team and with Coldwell Banker Realty as our broker. And today we're taking it back to basics.
We are. I'm loving it. Yeah, this episode is all about Real Estate 101. The stuff you hear in everyday transactions, but maybe you nod your head, you just agree, and then you get home and you're like, I'm going to Google that now.
Yeah, just nod for now, and then you guys can Google this stuff later. But yeah, we've all been there, so we're gonna go break down the way we actually, the way things make sense, I guess. And we're gonna sprinkle in some real life stuff, like golf, racing, kid in my case, maybe some camping, and bourbon if we're lucky.
I like it. Always bourbon.
I like bourbon.
I got it too. All right, let's start from the top. If you're a buyer and you hear this one consistently termed, are you pre-approved? That's not about us being nosy. It's like the foundation of everything that we need for you as a buyer.
Yeah, I'll say this on the pre-approval thing. Buyers, especially when you don't know your agent, you're getting to know your agent, are you a good fit? I think it's a trust thing.
Yep.
And the reason we're asking that is we need to know a little bit about your financials, because it does come down with the offer. And I don't know if we're going to get into all that today. Again, we're trying to cover a lot here in a little time, but it's really important that, from the seller's perspective, that they know you're pre-approved. It's when it comes to right offer time, if they know you have a solid pre-approval, that's really what's, going to make it important. Like, as the golf comparison goes, you don't walk on the first tee without your clubs and expect to play a full round, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Unless it's a one club challenge, which is kind of weird. Pre-approval is definitely showing that seller that, hey, I'm ready to go if I like your house.
Yeah, exactly. And I always tell buyers, it's like taking a road trip and forgetting to pack snacks. If you skip it, you'll get halfway through it and it'd be disappointed that you didn't get that pre-approval.
Yeah. And I know different agents do it different ways. Get the law changes to like that, as far as like there's a pre-agency form that we have to have in writing. Has to be something in writing. But when we know you're serious, we'll talk about signing that buyer agency agreement later to officially hire us. Really, right now at the beginning, we're getting to know each other. So we're just talking about, not just us representing you, but just helping you find the right home. So just gotta remember, we are on your team. We are negotiating on your behalf, not the sellers. Again, we'll get into the buyer agencies. I think we've done that before, but
yeah, it's kind of like going camping, kind of getting out there solo and like trying to camp without a tent,
or in your case, a camper.
Yeah, right.
Then you're just sleeping with mosquitoes, right?
Yeah.
Which sounds like about like how I parented my kid.
Yeah, right. Just figuring out as you go along.
Exactly. I don't know. We'll figure this out.
Yeah.
She's not too messed up. She's pretty good kid.
Yeah.
Got her life together.
She does. Yeah. So, all right. Now, if you're selling, you'll hear listing agreement. And that's what gives us permission to market your home, set the price, set the plan, and work on your behalf.
Yeah. So basically, we cannot go to work for you until we block that in. And I tell sellers too, like before, if we could be listed a month out, we go ahead and get that listing agreement signed. That way we know where we're at, where we're going. We can adjust the start date if something comes up.
Yeah.
But that allows us to really work behind the scenes, kind of do some pre-marketing, feel the market out with some people, other agents, and things like that. Really start working on your behalf before that listing goes live. And then people always ask, does the fridge stay? What about the wall-mounted TV? Well, we can talk about the exclusions and exclusions.
Exactly. If it's boiled down, it might stay. If it's bolted down, it might stay. Sorry. But never assume. Ask, get in writing. We've seen people fight over a garage shelving, like it was a prize bottle of Blanton's.
Speaking of surprises, let's talk inspections. That's when a licensed pro checks the bones of the house. Roof, furnace, foundation, and all the stuff that costs, that could be big dollar stuff. It's the same stuff that we look for when we're going through the house review. How old are the windows? Are they in good shape? The roof, of course. We call those the big ticket items. So it's definitely something to pay attention to.
Yeah, and I tell buyers when the inspector finds things, it's a house. It's not a brand new iPhone. It's going to have quirks. I tell buyers all the time, like, an inspector's job is to find things wrong with the house.
I would use the Android instead of iPhone, but I know you're biased on that.
I know, exactly.
Anyway, the goal is here is to stay informed, not to kill a deal over a squeaky door. Don't assume certain things. This is one of the things that I really caution buyers about is when the inspection, if something's found, you know, a lot of times I've seen buyers say, "Oh, they knew about that. They're trying to hide it." That's not necessarily true. There's a ton of stuff I'm sure about your home you don't even know about.
Oh, 100%.
And unless you just randomly decide to go get an inspection, even though you're not selling,
Right.
you'd probably find out a lot about your home. Like, oh, I didn't know that was an issue. I didn't know this was here. Those things happen.
Yep.
You know, you can live in your home for 20, 30 years, and there's a lot you don't know about your home.
And it's worked perfectly for you, but it might have been just, you know, a little bit off.
So I think the squeaky door thing is a little light, but
But it's different than the appraisal, right? That's the lender's guy or gal that goes out to the house and they're just making sure that the price you're paying makes sense to the bank.
exactly. You know, your bank does not want to lend you $400,000 on something that's only worth $350. I mean, would you lend your kid to go buy a go-kart if they were getting a bad deal?
No, not at all. Only if it came with the bourbon stash.
You know, I was teaming with this bourbon this morning with you.
I know.
Did you get any bourbon this weekend?
I had a little bit, yes.
Just want to make sure. All right, so that kind of brings up a topic of appraisal gaps. When a buyer agrees to still move forward, even if the home appraisal is low, that can make an offer more attractive to put in that appraisal gap. I know I get a little cautious with those, and that's definitely something I don't want to get it, you know, down a rabbit hole, but it's definitely something you and your agent should talk about. Not only the short-term satisfaction of still getting the home, what are the long-term concerns or potential risks?
Yeah. It's like saying, I know this bottle's a bit overpriced, but I really want it. Let's go.
Same idea applies to inspection gaps. You might still have to do the inspection, but agree not to do some of the small stuff, even some of the small what's considered safety defects. I mean, I like the example a GFCI outlet is within 6 feet of, you know, a water source.
Right.
It has to have that GFCI outlet. Sometimes they don't. That is technically a safety defect, but that is not a major one that I'm going to kill a deal. I mean, I'll come over and replace the outlet myself.
Or GFCI is the garage, like every outlet in the garage.
Yeah, I'll shock myself doing it for you, but that's worth it to me. To help you out.
Yeah. Buyers are using this tactic, and are telling sellers, "Hey, I'm serious. I'm just not going to nickel and dime you when it comes to the inspection gap, right?"
Right.
So yeah.
And that brings us to earnest money.
Yeah.
That's your deposit showing you're committed, not just browsing. There's contingencies that protect you there to say, protects the seller too, to say, hey, this buyer is not going to get to the closing table all of a sudden say, well, I'm forget this. I'm moving to South Carolina, Myrtle Beach. I want to golf every day.
Yeah. You know, think of it like dropping a $20 bill on the counter at the pro shop and saying, I'm playing 18 today.
Good luck with that around here.
Exactly. They know you're not serious, right?
Exactly.
So, and the other biggest thing with earnest money, people ask, you know, where does that go? That goes towards, you know, your closing costs, your down payment. It doesn't go directly to the seller. It's, you know, it's money that if things fall through, you could potentially get back, depending on the contingencies, right?
Actually, it's going towards the purchase of the home. It's potentially you're borrowing less, or like Ben said, put it towards closing costs, down payments, things like that. It depends on your loan, depends on the structure, but that's basically how it is. And then we get towards closing, and we always talk about prorated taxes. Excuse me. If the sellers own the home for half the year, they cover half of that upcoming tax bill. That's all calculated by your title company. That's one of their purposes, is they're going to figure out what those prorated costs of the taxes are. They're going to charge that to the seller. It's going to show up as a credit to you on the closing cost, and then it's going to show up as a debit on the seller side of the closing estimate sheet.
Yep. And, you know, I actually use this as a negotiation tactic if I know I'm in multiple offers, right? My buyer's been like, hey, how do we sweeten this deal? like, well, let's throw in there that we're gonna pay for all of 2025 taxes. It's gonna cost you as a buyer maybe an extra $1,800 or $2,000, but it's a little bit, it's a little different way than just increasing your purchase price by $2,000.
Yeah, because it's a great. I'm glad you brought up the point about that can be part of negotiation, because if a property has $5,000 taxes, well, and you say, well, I'll just take care of the whole year when it comes, you just raise your offer by $2,500, which is really nice for the seller,
Right.
because the seller's already, still, I mean, with law changes, I'd still say 99% of the time that they're paying commission still.
Correct.
And of course, they've got the transfer taxes that the state gets, of course. So it's really not that one size fits all. And then when we walk our clients through every line of the settlement sheet, nobody likes surprises unless they bonus pour bourbon, of course.
All right.
See, I can do bourbon too.
So, yeah. So I saw a recently who needed to stay in the house a few extra weeks after closing, and that's what we call post occupancy. It's totally doable. We just need to make sure we get it in writing. We get the full understanding that is there going to be rent owed, who's paying utilities, or do they still carry insurance, things like that. So post occupancy is still an option. It works well sometimes for buyers and sellers that are closing on their next house, right? Need time to move 30 years worth of crap, or in Candace's case, 8 years of stuff to her new house. She spent all weekend. It was kind of crazy.
Exactly. It's kind of like this, Vince. If you sold your camper, but you asked the person who bought it, can I use it for one more weekend?
Exactly.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, and just negotiate. Is it a point of charging you back for that a little bit, or you know what? Thanks for the great deal on the camera you just gave me. It's on us,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Then we have final walkthrough, usually the night before closing, sometimes a couple of days before closing, but that's just our chance to make sure everything's as expected. Nothing's broken, no furniture was swapped out, no appliances were swapped out, no holes in walls, nothing broken, right? It's our opportunity to walk through and make sure that the house that we originally offered on is in the same condition that we made that offer, right?
Yeah, I always put it to the sellers this way. After you get an accepted offer, when you start going through inspections, especially final walkthroughs, the home should look the same or better, actually, and should not have more stuff in it either. I've had a few people somehow.
I think we have a seller right now that does that.
Somehow move more stuff into the property, even though they're selling, and that's a concern to a buyer, saying like, well, are you leaving or are you coming back?
Right.
So, things should look better or the same, or things should be, nothing should be broken and things like that. And certainly don't bring more stuff in.
Right.
I actually had a buyer who showed up, and the seller had taken all the kitchen cabinet doors. Not kidding. It was like an open concept pantry nightmare.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that'd be devastating.
Like, I really think that was the offer. We gotta put those back.
And that's why we always do a walkthrough. And if anything changes to the deal, dates, price, repairs, we do an amendment, right? Just a fancy word for updating the contracts.
Yeah, and I'll say one more thing too. Appliances and inclusions with that. Don't be surprised. I've just been caught on this a few times. When your sellers start moving out, make sure to reiterate with them, hey, these are the things you've included. Had a situation one time where a seller pulled the washer and dryer out. The buyers had written the offer, the husband accepted. Turns out that was the last gift the wife's father had bought them before he had passed. So unbeknownst to the husband, that had sentimental value.
Yep.
So that was a situation where it's like, well, we had to figure out and either get those things back in, or seller actually ended up buying the buyer different washer and dryer because they were
he valued his marriage more than that washer and dryer.
Yeah. And then one more thing worth mentioning definitely is a home sale contingency. That's when the buyer needs to sell their current home before they can do the next one.
So let me ask you this, Brad. In today's market, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, there's no way in hell we were getting something in a contract with a home sale contingency. I mean, if you did, it was, far and few between. Do you think we're shifting to a little more neutral market where home sale contingencies are acceptable?
Yeah, I would definitely say I've seen, and I think it's good of us agents, because sellers will ask, well, ooh, do we wanna take that? And I think you gotta look at what's going on with the market. So
Yeah.
yes, I think with a slight shift in the market, not everything is going, with multiple offers and bidding wars and all that stuff. I think in those cases, it can be tougher.
Yeah.
But I think you gotta look at, and this is what I like to do with my sellers, is if you do even get the multiple offers, just the home sale contingency doesn't mean it's the worst thing. Us as agents, we're definitely gonna do our research to say, all right, how long do I think this older home will take to sell?
Yeah.
Do they have it priced right? Are they trying to get higher, which could take more time? So there's a lot of factors in when we're just reviewing offers for our sellers that
Agreed.
you have to look at the whole picture, not just price.
Yeah, it's, we have to do our due diligence. It's like asking to join a foursome, but saying, hey, I might be a little late because I don't know when babysitter's gonna show up, right?
Yeah, we'll see on the sixth floor,
Yeah.
Mikey. Look, every deal is unique. Some are straight down the fairway, like most of my drives. Not this year, but in past years. A little erratic this year, as Vince does. It was great yesterday though. Awesome. Some are in the weeds, and then sometimes you're just swinging blind because you got yourself way out of position.
And that's why you have, guys like us, a team like Eagle Homes that experience guides, we guide you through the whole process. It's like camping in a storm, raising toddlers, pouring a good bourbon. The goal is to use experienced, knowledgeable agents to guide you along the way.
Yeah, if you're out there thinking about buying or selling and these terms still feel a little fuzzy, believe me, again, this was 101, this is basics.
Yeah.
Reach out to us, and I think this is a good time to also mention, so many times people are afraid to talk to us and consult with us because they're not doing something now. We love talking to people I don't care if you're planning 3 years out.
Yeah.
There's strategies, there's things we can start talking about. And then we start taking action when it gets closer and that our action becomes more defined. But please never hesitate. I love talking to people and future planning with them.
Well, and I'd also say, not just that future plan, but if you're looking to sell, right? I've done a lot of consultations lately where we've gone in, the homeowner's like, hey, should I, repaint this room? I was like, no, what's wrong with it? It's a light gray, it's very neutral. Why would you repaint it? She's like, well, I didn't think everybody would like it, right? No, someone's gonna come in and probably repaint that room anyway, so why? It doesn't matter what color you do it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I love fresh paint because just a painted room looks good. Do pick a neutral, the grays, the tans, maybe some light blues, stuff like that. Definitely to keep it more of those neutral colors. But if someone doesn't like a neutral color, well, they'll change that.
Right.
But if you get that fresh coat of paint, those are the little things that actually do it. They add some good return value.
Yeah.
I've really never seen someone paint and not get a return.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's very, very true. So that's a wrap for today. Thanks for joining us on Vince Vault with the Eagle Homes team and Caldwell Banker Realty.
I'm Ben Brewer. We'll see you in the future. Have a great week.
Bye, guys.